Stand by to fall in, Polk County. This is today's veteran. Hello and welcome, and on behalf of everyone at Polk County Veterans Services, thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Brian Lacey, standing in for Tim Kirkhart. And on today's installment of Today's Veteran, we chat with Gina Cox about the Homeless Veterans Summit. But we start off today's show with a look at Summerlin Academy. The mission of Summerlin Academy is to motivate Polk County's young adults to be better citizens by promoting academic achievement, personal accountability, civic responsibility, and leadership skills in order to excel in higher education, career, community, and life. Joining us in studio is Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Davis and Cadet Dale Lutton. Welcome to today's veteran, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Talk to me a little bit about Summerlin Academy. It's got humble beginnings, but wow, what it's become.
It definitely has, and I mean, Summerlin Academy traces its beginnings all the way back to when Bartow began its education. Eventually, it became Summerlin Institute, started out with that, became Union Academy, Bartow High School, and Summerlin Academy really branched out of the JROTC at Bartow High School. In 2006, the charter was established for Summerlin Academy. They started to break ground, and they created some buildings and educational facilities there. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough at the time, so they brought in several temporary portable buildings that we use as classrooms there. It's a very modest campus, but is extremely high use and high volume with our cadets.
Let's talk a little bit about the military presence itself. As a veteran, I walk on the campus and I'm really proud of what not only the leadership is doing, but in what the students are doing. What kind of military presence is there on the academy?
The military presence really involves the 6 JROTC instructors. That is the official military, and of course we're all retired, working for the U.S. Army. We're working through the ROTC departments. But everyone else out there, all the faculty members, they pick up and they utilize the military as well. They're very proud and everything, and they help to instill that into our cadets, and our cadets take that and they really focus hard on what is the proper things, what is the proper way to wear the uniforms. And we have a daily uniform. It's not always just the Army Combat or the Class Bs. I mean, we have our polos and khaki pants, we also have our PT uniforms, and then we do have the camouflage and our formal uniforms as well. But the cadets are the ones who really show those off and really attempt to wear them as best as they can. And they're actually inspected and checked by other senior cadets like Dale here.
Let's talk a little bit about the campus itself. It's very unique, anywhere from the indoor air gun range to the training field at the center, which is where they gather each day. Talk a little bit about how unique it is, what an experience, not only from a military standpoint, but from an educational standpoint.
It's very unique. We have, behind our main admin building, we have what we call our quad, or our plane, our parade field. And surrounding our parade field are the buildings that are housing a lot of our math, science, and social studies teachers, as well as the JROTC. So they're all around that, and we use the quad daily. Every morning we have formation of all of our cadets, and we raise the flag to reveille, and then we play the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. And then once that is over with, our cadets go through an inspection led by the senior cadets, the upper level cadets, and then they break and they go to their classes just like all the other students. Outside of that, we have 2 other main buildings. One of them is called the multi-purpose building, and inside that we actually have the ability to do both kendo, which is the art of sword, with one of the top instructors not only in the United States but in the world, and then we also are able to do judo in there. And so we have mats that we can put in there, and then when we want to, we can use that as more or less a small auditorium where we can meet with the company-sized cadets. Next to that, we also have our indoor rifle range, which you were mentioning there. It is the only indoor rifle range here within Polk County and one of the best within the state, without a doubt. And that is one of the reasons why our rifle team has done so well this year.
Not to mention you have an archery team that is doing well also.
Absolutely, and they also practice within that facility. So the same 25 yards that we use for the pellet guns, they also use for the archery. And so it gets dual use out of that as well.
I think the thing most impressive to me is leading by example from the senior staff all the way to the juniors and seniors in the school. Talk about how, I don't want to say they police themselves, but they're just, it's a lead by example, and the students are just as involved as what the senior staff is.
Oh, absolutely. And the whole academy really is student and cadet run. The faculty and the cadre are there really just to ensure that all the things are done correctly. We have the resources to do what we need to do, but it's really the cadets like Dale here who are leading the students. They're the ones who are out there checking. If there is a student who's not wearing their hat correctly, they make the correction on the student. If they show up to formation and they're out of uniform, we have a process that we help deal with that to ensure that the student understands what it is they've done, and they get a little bit of the military style of discipline just as a reinforcement that, hey, you know, probably not a good idea to do
Drop
this in
and
the
give
future.
me 20, baby.
And so we're really good at that, but our cadets don't abuse that. That's
exactly.
the beauty of it, is when a cadet goes up to most cadets and says, hey, you've done something wrong here, they're speaking from a position of not only leadership but example, to where they can say, you can look at me and you can see that this is what you should be doing.
And I think the thing that's most impressive, it's a school of choice. It's not a parents pushing them because they need to. And students, you know, you have students that go on, like with Dale's, we're going to talk with him in a few where he's going, but you also have students that are going to college, and it just prepares them better.
And that's the whole thing. We are preparing the cadets for after high school, whatever they choose to do. It could be vocational, it could be a military service if they so choose, or it could be to go into either college or one of the service academies or ROTCs. But they have that option. They're making those selections. Anytime we get a parent who calls up and says, oh yeah, you know, Johnny or Jane, I'd like my child to go to there. Yeah, they're just coming out of a detention facility. We're like, well, this isn't really the place for them. This is not a boot camp scenario. We're not trying to break someone down and rebuild them. We're trying to take what we have and increase the natural leadership and natural abilities that they have. So if a parent is looking for someone to come in and correct their child, they're looking in the wrong place. We're here to help develop them so that they can go to that next level. And
speaking of next level, Cadet Dale Lutton, congratulations on being accepted to the United States Naval Academy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk a little bit about how Summerlin Academy has formed you and prepared you for this giant leap in your life.
I suppose the regimented attitude that Summerlin gives you will give me a little step up into the Naval Academy itself. I think it also helped on applying as well, because I mean, rather than going to my zone school over in Lake Wales, I could come here and explain that like through essays or interviews that we're a public school, but it's still a choice school and it's military oriented. And I think it really helped me in leadership and integrity, which I think is going to be very important in my life at the Naval Academy and beyond. So I think that really helped build me up a little bit, so I can do better then.
When choosing the school, probably what, 14, 15? How'd that choice come about? When did you decide Summerlin was the way to go?
Well, first off, in third grade, I decided the Naval Academy was the way to go.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then fifth grade, Summerlin came along, and then my dad decided Summerlin was the way to go. So that was our whole plan the entire time, because I wanted to get to the Naval Academy, and I figured that would be the best option. So we decided to go on that path, go to the military high school instead of just a public high school.
So how did you see yourself advancing? I mean, could you see the maturity coming? I mean, looking at you, I'm going, no way, this kid's like 17, 18 yet.
I suppose like just realizing you have like a duty to do as first as a follower and then eventually as a leader. That really made you more mature. Like this last year, I had 96 kids that I was in charge of, so it was kind of it just felt like they were mine. They were like my responsibility. So it kind of gives you that sense of duty that you'll have, that I'll have at least later.
Getting into the Naval Academy, obviously you didn't get there by yourself. There's a lot of staff and of course some legislative hoops that you had to jump through. Talk a little bit about that process.
The Naval Academy, that process is a three-part process where it's physical, medical, and then academic. So you have your main application, and it's like the essays, the what clubs were you part of, what leadership roles did you have, and then you have the medical side where you have to go around to all these different doctors, and it took quite a few days to get that done, but I had nothing wrong with me. And then the physical side, which I actually completed at Summer Seminar, which is a week-long camp going into your senior year at the Naval Academy. So it was I think a 6-part physical fitness test, and I'll take that again at the academy every once in a while. And then I also had an interview with my blue and gold officer, which is like the admissions representative, and that was mandatory as well to get me into the academy.
Well, Cadet Lutton, Colonel Davis, thank you very much for coming on, giving us this insight into Summerlin Academy.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From the beginning of their Summerlin Academy careers, cadets will learn what it takes to lead and how to effectively form a team, along with learning to manage time and resources while developing their own style of leadership. Cadets share experiences like none other and will be part of a community that is forged in lifelong learning, commitment, and honor. Summerlin Academy is located at 1500 Jackson Avenue in Bartow, and parents and students can find out more at summerlinacademy.com or give them a call at 863-519-7504 for a tour. For soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that return from their service to this great country with disabilities, transition to civilian life can be difficult. Now, the key to returning to a civilian lifestyle that could have physical restrictions for the disabled veteran is to realize their potential by focusing on their abilities rather than their disabilities. One such Polk County veteran is Edwin Quiros, an athlete determined to succeed in the transition from the battlefield to the field of competition.
I joined in the military in 2001. I spent the first 3 years with the 101st in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Then I made the transaction to a special operation in 2003. And during parachute training, I suffered a hard landing, which in consequence I got a compressed spine with 2 herniated discs and suffered a concussion and brain injury. From there, I went with the unit. I went like 5 tours to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan. Spent almost 11 years with the unit. I retired in 2011. I've been doing. After I retired, I did 2 to 3 years on physical therapy for my back, my foot, PTSD, and my brain injury. And ever since I've been doing the therapy, still currently doing my therapy and appointments with the VA. Well, I started cycling as a recreational. I did a couple of times first, and then I started getting into it. I meet a lot of people who's really competitive, and they push me around, so I see that it's another way to represent I would like to make the national teams, so that's another way to represent the U.S. and just only change the uniform from camouflage to national uniform, so it's a good way to keep competing. The hand cycle have given me so much back because I cannot do much because my injuries, my lower extremity injuries, my foot and my back. So with the hand cycle, I can do so much now. I can be able to compete, to be in competitive level compared to other different sports. When I was injured, I was my physical abilities and sports that was really limited until I was introduced to biking. Biking have given me so much. It's big chance for everybody. is I used to be at the house like in pain, chronic pain, taking pills, helping me so much of physical and mentally. I'm being able to be open up, trying to be open with more people, be around people with the same disability. So it's big goal for me. I enjoy biking because I do ride a lot with military buddies that have been with the same situation or even worse than me, and they pushing it. So if they can do it, I can do it. Anybody can do it, of course, and it'll help me out a lot because I've been having trust issues because the PTSD. Now I can get out there, spend 1, 2, 3, 4 hours on the trail, being able to meet new people, compete. For me, like I say, I started recreational, so I reached out to SOCOM, Special Operation Command, they loaned me a bike. I competed with them for the first time last year on the Water Games. I won a bronze medal. So of course I want to continue, but the cycling sport is really expensive. As of right now, I don't own the bike. The bike is around $5,500. And I've been trying to reach around for organization, non-profit, to see if I can get my own equipment because I don't want to stop training because lack of equipment. Having my own bike will be the best thing that can happen to me as right now because I know I'm going to be able to keep going and I don't have to worry about to stop anytime because I have to return equipment. I can start working on the equipment. I can spend time not only riding but learning how to fix the equipment and work with the equipment. For me, I really enjoy seeing my family's face whenever I'm riding, racing, because that way they know even with limitations, you can keep pushing forward. And it's big for my kids because they see me, they notice the difference. Back then, a few years back before I was riding, like I said, I was at the house, depressed, in pain, in my own shell, withdrawing from everybody. Now they see the difference. Now they see that I can go out there, compete, have fun. So it's all about that, you know, inspire others, especially my family, my kids. Well, we challenge everybody to go out there, even if you're not doing it at competitive level, at least in fun level. It's always something to do out there. It's not worth it to be in the shell.
Welcome back to Today's Veteran. I'm your host, Brian Lacey, filling in for Tim Kirkhart. Now, in an effort to better understand the magnitude of homeless veterans within the community, community leaders and military organizations come together to analyze ways to best meet the needs. Gina Cox joins us for the third and final update for the progress of the Veterans Homeless Summit. Welcome to Today's Veteran.
Thank you.
Well, for the folks at home that might not have caught the first two, let's back up and tell them what exactly was the Homeless Summit.
The Veterans Homeless Summit was a bringing together of the social service agencies and the veteran service agencies in an effort to solve homeless veterans' plights in Polk County. We were wanting to achieve housing 175 homeless veterans and their families in the year 2015 up to 2017. So we brought these agencies together, one, as the county, believing that they've never really come together at the same time in the same place, both working towards helping all of our veterans, but never coming together and working as a unit. So that was our purpose. Our purpose was to house them and bring these two very large sides of the game playing on their own fields, but together. And we feel like we really did achieve that. I mean, we sat in that room that day, and everybody was amazed on both sides that you do that, you do that? We didn't know. We just didn't know. So that was one of our goals, and it worked. And as the mission continues, we hope it lives and breathes out there in the community. We're housing homeless veterans.
Who were some of the key players?
Peace River was present, Homeless Coalition, Talbot House, Salvation Army, USDA, Veterans Administration, HUD, Housing and Urban Development. We had many local nonprofits. Clark's House was present on the social services side. And honestly, there were so many social service agencies present. I hate to miss any, but we certainly had all of our major social service nonprofit organizations present on that day.
Let's talk a little bit about the importance of the partnerships and, of course, what roles those partnerships play.
Well, one of the key things that really motivated us to move forward on this was, as a county and as the county's grant writer, I found that there were many grants that involved veterans we as a county entity could not apply for, that it required a veteran organization or a nonprofit organization. So we realized we could not be the answer to the plight of our veterans, that we had to reach out and we had to work with these organizations, and also that there had to be partnerships with these organizations. So the big reason that we need both sides, both social services and veteran sides, working together is in order for us to secure more funding opportunities that can help our veterans across the board, not just the homeless, but all of our veterans, the ones coming back now. We need to be working together as a unit, not individual nonprofits, not individual veteran agencies, but we need to be a unit. We need to be a Polk County coalition alliance working together to bring the maximum amount of money into this county to help our veterans as a whole.
Grant writing is a lot like putting a jigsaw puzzle together.
Yes.
You have to have the exact fit.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about, you know, you have the government side, which you have the social services side, and then you have the military organization side. And that just gives you more pieces to work with.
It does, and every one of them is important, especially when you're looking at federal, state, and even foundation grants. They want to know that when a veteran is being served, that they're tapping in to their veteran services, that we're not trying to replace the veteran services, that they're getting connected to the VA, that they're getting connected to their benefits, that they're actually getting what they are due and deserve from the federal government because they served. But then there's gaps that even the government can't help. That's where the nonprofits come in at. And they're the ones that can be the in-between. They can help them through some of these processes. Sometimes waiting and having to fill out the paperwork and go through the hoops or the red tape that's required is very overwhelming for a veteran, especially maybe when they're dealing with so many other things like homelessness or just the effects that they have from coming back from being in a war zone. So all of this stuff that they have to go through can overwhelm them and stress them. So the social service agencies are there to help them through the process, be part of it, help them make those phone calls, get them, transport them, ensure that they're getting to the places, paving the way, so to speak, for them.
As a grant writer, as the person seeking funding for this, what are some of the things that we can see coming down the pipe and physically touch thanks to the partnerships from the Veterans Homeless Summit?
Well, definitely we are zoning in on anything housing, anything that can provide permanent housing for our veterans, education, looking for education dollars to help them through the process, reacclimate back into civil life, transportation dollars, things that are going to help them get to the places that they need to get to. Other things that we're looking at is just overall funding for the social service agencies and the veteran organizations to provide, again, food, clothing, some of those basic needs that you wouldn't think a veteran would suffer or a veteran's family would suffer with. But you know, again, because of circumstances, economy, and things that the family may be going through, they're real and they exist.
Talk about the importance of having those partnerships, having those ducks in a row,
yes.
and presenting, putting that first foot forward.
I can't say how much you're speaking about the truth. It's so important, and we're just, you know, we like to say Polk County's huge, but the reality is when we're comparing ourselves to what we're really competing against, New York, Chicago, California, Miami, those types of places, we're small. So what really, really puts us in the lead is when we get to say that we not only have one or two organizations working together, but that we have multiple organizations coming together, willing to take a piece of the pie, to spread it out, to make the maximum benefit for the veteran. And it is so important that we're making sure that we're not only coming together, but we're communicating, that we're all in this together, whether we're getting a piece of this grant or not. It's about helping the veteran and doing it at no matter what the cost is. And when we can write that in a grant, when we can say, not only are we trying to achieve it, but we're doing it now, we're living and breathing. We've got these organizations donating their time, giving us this, providing that. That makes our grant applications stronger because they look at us and they say, okay, you do have a large veteran population. You are spread out rural, but yet you come together as a community and you care. That's what makes a difference on our grant applications. We show that we not only want it, but we're living and breathing it now.
Well, Gina, I want to thank you for coming on today and sharing the final progress and look forward to future Veteran Homeless Summits.
Thank you.
All right. For more information on the Veterans Homeless Summit, check out the Polk County BOCC website at polk-county.net. Keep in mind that Polk County Veteran Services invites you to the 100th birthday party for Mr. James Hackney. He's a World War II era veteran. It happens Saturday, June 27th. It all happens at the Crossroads Retirement Center, located at 206 West Orange Street in Davenport, Florida. Now, they'll celebrate his birthday from 2 to 4 p.m. Mr. Hackney was stationed at Camp Lee in Virginia. He'd love to see some veterans at his birthday party, so let's see what we can do for him, all right? That's going to do it for this edition of Today's Veteran. I want to thank our guests today, Gina Cox, Lieutenant Stephen Davis, and Dale Lutton. He's a cadet at Summerlin Academy. But most of all, I want to thank you for joining us. Remember, for help and information regarding claims, benefits, and services available to veterans and their families, call the Polk County Veteran Services Office at 863-534-5220 or log on to the Polk County website at polk-county.net. I'm your host, Brian Lacey, and we'll see you next month.